Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me on the Slice of Healthcare podcast. I'm your host, Jared Taylor. Joining me today is Alex Lebrun, the co founder and CEO at Nabla. Alex, how are you today?
Hi, hi, Jared. Thanks very much for your invitation.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Let's dive right into it. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm a software engineer by background, and I always wanted to start my startups, my companies. I've been fascinated by healthcare, but I also saw a full cemetery of dead startups around me who tried to change healthcare and died trying. So I knew the go-to-market was very difficult. Easy to have good ideas, but very difficult to change things and to find your place in the system. And so I decided to start with a non-healthcare company, and it was a customer service chatbot company called Virtuose. That after 10 years and moving to the US from France, I sold to Nuance Communications. And right after that, I started a second startup called Wit.ai, doing a kind of Siri as a service for developers. So it's always in this machine learning space. And this one was acquired by Facebook in 2015. So I stayed 4 years with Facebook, moving to the Facebook AI research team. So with the best elite in the world of machine learning around Yann LeCun, as you say in the US, who was my boss at Facebook. And so I had the opportunity there to work on very ambitious machine learning projects where we needed to hire hundreds of people to train, to annotate our data sets. So we had a lot of opportunities to do very interesting research. After 4 years at Facebook, my entrepreneurial side was hitching a lot, and I decided to finally come back to healthcare, this time with more money and a team, very strong engineering team on my side, and investors ready to follow us and give us enough time and money because, again, healthcare is difficult. And so I started Nabla 3.5 years ago in order to, with the objective to apply some of the research we had done and published as open source and public research at Facebook to try to help solving problems in healthcare.
I mean, selling two companies, one to Nuance Communications and one to Facebook, is absolutely incredible. Those are two companies that don't exactly pull the trigger at every company that comes across their desk. So kudos to you and your teams at those companies for uh, being acquired by two companies like that. Now, moving on to Nabla, like here's where I want to dive into, right? Like I'm seeing this more and more, and I think it makes a lot of sense in healthcare. A lot of innovation is starting to happen outside of people who were involved in healthcare, and I think it does. It definitely takes a mix of the people that are currently in there, the insiders and the outsiders. Um, what do you think your advantage is, given your engineering background and coming, being in healthcare? Would love to hear more about that.
So, yeah, I think innovation often needs an external component to have new ideas and to forget how you got used to working without very bad tools. But you also need some insiders. So I think the right combination to innovate, you have to have both people. So at the beginning of Nabla, we spent days and days with doctors at hospitals, being there in consultations with actual patients, writing notes, and we actually took one full year before we decided on which product we want to, what problem we want to solve, and which product we want to work on. So we were very lucky to be able to do that because we had lined up investors because of our previous startups ready to pay for that. So this is a luxury I know not everybody has, but we spent this full year observing before we even spoke one word. And we also met in this process hundreds of healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, and we met those who became our team members at Nabla in this process. And so I think the most important in this first phase was to build the right team with a combination of insiders and outsiders. The advantage of having engineers is obvious. Like you want to optimize everything, you know how to build the right automation, the right product, software that is much better than all the software they use every day at the hospital. But this is the easy part of healthcare startup. The hard part is how you push your solution to the real world and make it what is the business model, how will they change the way they work, why will they take the risk to be the first to work with you. So this is what's actually really difficult when you do a healthcare startup.
And tell us about where Nabla is at today. Um, who are you working with? What are you seeing in the industry right now? How are people reacting? And where do you see Nabla going as we head into 2023 and beyond?
So when we spent this full year observing healthcare professionals, we realized, like everybody knows, they spend about 50% of their time or 40% of their time doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. Lots of examples, but all the clinical documentation, updating the EHR, following up with patients, writing some notes, doing some paperwork. There is a long list of what they call pajama times because they usually do it at night instead of seeing their children or doing something else. And so we quickly decided, okay, we want to, our end goal at Nabla is to remove completely these 40% and to automate all these things. And we also decided to go for a business model where our customer is typically a clinic. We started with digital health companies because they are faster to adopt new products. But then now currently we are moving actually to bigger traditional providers. So they are our customer. But our users are the healthcare professionals for which we do these automations. And so we are we started to sell our products about 6 months ago. So we are still at the early stages of that.
And tell us about one of your newest offerings, the Nabla Medical Assistant. What is that? And I found it pretty cool, by the way, that it is a plugin. Would love to hear more.
Yeah, so the medical assistant, and by the way, it may be the temporary name. We didn't intend to launch it. Actually, it's officially not launched, but people started to use it more and more. So we're happy with that. So by the time you listen to this, it may be a different name, but what we call medical assistant is this Siri-like assistant, AI-based assistant that works on the side of doctors and try to automate everything they do that they don't like to do. So, for example, this thing will listen during a consultation, and at the end of the consultation, will automatically write all the clinical documentation, referral letters, any update the EHR, including opening the EHR on your computer, the right tab if there is no API, which happens a lot with the EHRs, and fill the form for you. And we, because of our experience with healthcare, we knew that a bottom-up approach where we don't need a lot of integration work, actually zero integration. A physician, a healthcare professional themselves, they can decide to use it. They should be able to set it up in 1 minute without calling IT, without any permission from anyone, and to discover the value. And then once they really want to use it, they can ask their clinic to integrate the stuff. So I really love the bottom up distribution models where instead of doing politics at high level with salespeople spending 50% of your company budget on that, you instead work on the product and make it possible for the actual users to discover your product and then recommend the company to buy it. And to do this in healthcare is difficult, but I think we found a way by doing a Chrome extension instead of a full platform, because this is like a plugin that can work on any consultation tool. So we started with remote video consultations, but we are going to release the in-person consultation version very soon. And so you can use anything you want for your video consultation as a physician. This plugin that is installed in one click will actually do this work of producing the clinical documentation completely automatically, and then you can copy paste the result and put it in your EHR. And so again, yeah, I'm a big believer in bottom up sales where the product is actually what you are working on and not the sales team. And this is why we selected this go to market model.
What's next? So that's huge to have that, in addition to what you've already built. What's next for Nabla, that you're really excited about?
So, in terms of machine learning, um, you may have heard of something called ChatGPT. There is a lot going on. ChatGPT is just a buzz, media buzz. We don't, but the real thing behind the large language models make many things possible, things that were not possible before. Um, we had a huge boost in 2011, about 10 years ago, with the advent of deep learning, with Geoffrey Hinton and so on. And now I think we have a similar boost in AI progress this year with large language models. And so we are at a very interesting moment where many things become possible. And so for us, it means that we will teach our medical assistant more and more stuff. And I expect it, by the end of the year, to be a very powerful assistant that will really change the life of healthcare professionals during every day, doing so much stuff for them without being in their ways, like EHRs are. And so we expect it goes very, very fast. Every month there are new skills that we can teach this assistant. And I don't know yet which skills will be added because we really just follow what our customers ask for. Um, but it will be huge for us.
And the question I probably enjoy asking the most, Alex, what is your 2023 outlook? Right, this is your opinion. Where do you see things heading? You mentioned ChatGPT. It'll be interesting to see how that continues to evolve. It'll be interesting to see how Google's Bard gets involved as well. But in terms of just healthcare and technology, where do you see things heading, in 2023?
So I think my outlook for something that's true in healthcare is maybe 50% of health tech startups will die this year. So it's not a good outlook, not exciting. Um, the other thing is that there is a real healthcare crisis in almost all countries. The healthcare systems are collapsing, but I see a good thing in this dark landscape. The good thing is that not changing anything, keeping the status quo is not an option. And those people who were resisting our products, our proposals to innovate last year, this year they cannot tell us no, let's keep things as before. It's good enough. It's not an option anymore. So I feel as a startup I feel really empowered now to push for innovation more than last year because of that. And so if you add the new powers of AI with not ChatGPT, but with the technology of large language models behind us, I think the combination of these two things makes 2023 extremely exciting.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how things continue to evolve. And you and I talked a little bit about this as the before the episode. Love to have you come back on, get you on a panel. We can talk with, some of your peers at the same time and kind of dive into some of the more, detailed parts of the business, which I'm really excited to do with you. But kudos to what you've built so far, you and your team. Super clean platform, from everything I've seen. I did ask around a little bit too, to see what people were thinking, and the reviews were great. So, um, and I mean, your background and what you've done so far is absolutely incredible, and thankful that you're trying to do the same thing for healthcare.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you so much.